All right, Wayne DeFrancesco here again, and we're going to look at a guy who played real well last week at the WGC at Doral. It's Charl Schwartzel, and he really put on a nice show. He finished second to Ernie Els, and his swing and the shots and the aggressiveness that he played was impressive. All the announcers were impressed with him, and right up to the end, he was right in there, hitting good shots. So, a couple of things that stood out for me when I watched. Let's take a look at the driver swing. So, this is one of the cameras that was fixed on the tee, so we don't get as much movement, and we get a chance to see what he was doing. Almost every swing that he took looked to me like he was trying to hit a slight cut, not really a fade in the sense that the ball would move a lot, but a hard sort of a slider with the driver and just a gentle little drop to the right. So you can see his foot line is all these shots was normally a little left. Even though this hole had water left, he was trying to hit it down the left side a little bit. Obviously by the aim, plus he's on the right side of the tee box. And then in the swing, as you watch, you can see that the club is going above the shaft plane. Now, that's always more likely with guys that have their hands slightly low at address, and most of his address positions where the club points underneath his belt buckle as opposed to above it. It's slight, but it makes a difference when you look at it and you draw the lines as to where the club goes back. Here, every swing that he makes, it's going to go back above the shaft plane, which means the space between the grip end and the lower body is going to get bigger, which would be way different from two of the popular swing theories that have been going around in the last few years. Stack and tilt, one plane where the club would come more into you. Here he takes it more out. So this would kind of be more of like what Harmon was doing or has been doing with most of his guys, which is to get the club out in front of the body. So you can see when the left arm is parallel to the ground, where I usually draw this picture, the shaft is perfectly on plane, and his hands are right in front of his sternum there, which is not nearly as deep as a lot of the guys that you'll see who take the club more into them. Now, having it out in front of you like this and taking it up with that wrist cupped, which is another interesting thing about his swing that struck my eye, was how solidly he kept the club at the top, a very little shaft kick, and his wrist was cupped a lot, which means the face is fairly open. All these things are going to set him up to hit that hard cut. But the guy is incredibly strong. You could see it. His body looks like young Tiger Woods. I mean, he is like a whippet, just nothing but sinew, no body fat, just real strong, super solid at the top, and his arms just travel with his body as though he's just got total control of the club. So as the club gets to the top, it's just a barely laid off a little bit. It falls in a hair, and when it comes down, you can see it come down with the hands above where they started. That's above the shaft plane, and the club, as it goes from above the shaft plane, is going to get pretty close to right on it. So that is a slightly across the plane line impact area. And when he comes out, here's the shaft coming out lower than it was up at the top. So this is a pretty classic solid cut type of a swing. Now the tempo was fairly fast, but I think it's just smooth but fairly quick. He's so strong. I think he can just bust it. So real aggressive through the ball. We go to another swing, an iron swing here, and you'll see a shot where this is one shot where it didn't look like he was going to try to cut the ball. So the club doesn't go quite as far up and out. And again, the cupped wrist at the top, and then coming down, you can see the club now has dropped in to where it's passing through his arm a little differently here. So pretty much the same going back, a little more behind him coming through, and not as much of a up to down or high to low cut across. You can see the shaft not disappear quite as much to the left. So probably hitting that shot a little bit straighter. If we look at him from the front, here you see the great transition in the midsection. You can see the lat muscle and the turn continue. Remember, if you look at my video of Ricky Fowler, you'd see this where it looked even more distinct in Fowler's back, but you can see the same thing in Schwartzel, where the lower body is driving and the upper body is still taking the backward motion of the club. And what that does is it lengthens all those muscles up in the left side and here as the hips push forward and around, and the club gets caught and dragged down, and then really good forward drive of the hips, glutes, and pelvis through the ball, and really nice right side extension. So very little head movement during the swing, real solid action, and just a real good looking move all around. There's another example of a little cut type swing. You can see the pin is over here, and he's got his feet a little open, and the club's going to go up a little bit on the foot line, through his arms, right back through his arms again. So when that shaft is under control like that, you can pretty much do what you want with it. And then he goes left, and the ball's going to slide into the target. So here's Charl Schwartzel, a really nice swing, very solid. I'd expect him to play well in big tournaments the rest of the year.